It is 2 o'clock on Tuesday, and I am in my kitchen cooking. Today, we are going to be looking at 3 different ways of making zucchini noodles. So, zucchini noodles, if you're not familiar, are a great low carb substitute for pasta. Doesn't taste exactly the same, but if you prepare it in a way that looks like noodles, they're cut like noodles. It really does satisfy, and they have a great flavor. They absorb the flavors of what you're cooking, and they look really pretty too. So let's talk about different ways that you might be able to do this. So if you're not familiar with the zucchini noodles, basically it's just the zucchini cut into long strips or spirals. And I'll show you some techniques for doing that. I like to store my zucchini until I'm ready to use it in the refrigerator. I have these cotton bags that I put in, and I'll slide the cotton bag into a plastic bag then, which keeps them nice and firm and crisp, which is really good for when you're making this dish in particular, because you do want a nice firm vegetable. I thought I would start out with doing a zucchini noodle, and the zucchini noodles that I'll be doing are probably close to like a fettuccine, so a thicker noodle. So I'm going to start out with a mandolin. A mandolin is nothing more than a blade, a blade that you slide your vegetable or fruit through and get a nice thin slice. Now this mandolin, that's what you would get if you did it in this setting. But this mandolin, if I turn it, will actually do slices. So you can see those blades in there that are vertical to the horizontal line. That makes for a real quick and easy one swipe down the mandolin to make your noodles. Before we do that though, I need to prep my zucchini are already washed, but what I need to do is I want to take off the tops and the bottoms of the mandolin. Of the zucchini, so that I can slide it through the mandolin. And I'm going to put a plate. Let me just tip this down so you can see me a little bit better. There you go. Wonderful. Okay, so what we want to do, I'm going to adjust us a little bit better here. Okay, good. First of all, I want to protect my hands, because when you're working with the mandolin, it's very easy to accidentally cut yourself if you're not being careful. I actually purchased these no-cut gloves. They're no-cut brand gloves that protect your hands from the blade. And they've saved me a couple of times already. Now, you can also use a holder like this that comes with the mandolin. You actually just insert your fruit or your vegetable on these spikes, and you can slide it down over the blades. But for this purpose, I'm going to come to the side so you can see me. I'm going to just take my zucchini and slide it down. Sometimes it takes a little while to get it going. But as you can see, what I have here are long strips of zucchini noodles. Here, let me pull them up. So that's one way. Quick, easy. With this mandolin, there's 2 settings. I could actually make them skinnier, more like spaghetti. But say you don't have a mandolin. Well, there's another way that you can do this just manually. And I'll show you how to do that. So I saved half of my zucchini here from the mandolin. But if you were doing this by hand, you'd want to cut your zucchini down through the middle like that, just like this, so that you have a shape like this. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my gloves off here so I get a better grip on my knife. I'm just going to cut down through my zucchini to make long strips. Now, if I wanted to leave them like this, and I had the whole zucchini, I would have something that looks very similar to a lasagna noodle. And you can do that, and it makes a great lasagna lasagna pasta substitute if you're doing a layered dish. So let me just continue here to slice down. Watch those fingers as you're doing this. As you can see, it takes a little bit more time than the mandolin. But so now I have these thick, or should I say flat looking noodles. And what I want to do then is turn them on their sides and cut them down again along the length. And maybe I'll make these narrower, more like spaghetti. And here you have our hand-done noodles. They're a little bit narrower than the ones I did on the mandolin. And I'm just going to finish up here. So they have 1/2 of the zucchini done by with the mandolin, and 1/2 done just by slicing through. Almost done here. So how do you cook these, you're probably wondering? Well, what I like to do is just put a little bit of olive oil in a saute pan and add my noodles and just saute until they're crisp tender. I don't like to overcook them or they'll get mushy. Crisp tender is good. Al dente. Al dente. And then maybe a little salt and pepper. You can add seasonings to it. And then when you plate it, put your sauce over on top to coat them. Oh, one more little one here. Let's get that too. All right. And of course I could have cut these thicker just the same way as I did on the mandolin. But this way, I have a couple different thicknesses. The ones on this side are the thicker ones from the mandolin. Here are the thinner ones from just doing it by hand. So that's 2 ways that you can make your noodles. Now, if you have something called a spiralizer, this is yet another way to make your noodles. And this is kind of fun. So I want to put a plate here just to catch the zucchini that I'm doing. Before we do this, I wanted to show you a little bit of prep work that I like to do. Again, you need to cut off the top and the bottom of the zucchini. I want to make sure that I'm keeping these ends pretty parallel because it'll make a difference when I put it into the machine. Now, if I just use this zucchini and put it into the spiralizer and spiralized it, I would have one continuous long, very long noodle. So what I like to do to keep my noodles shorter is take the tip of my knife and go down and maybe make 1 or 2. I'm just going to make 1 here so that they're longer, but just a pierce about halfway through the zucchini, because that will automatically cut them to a shorter length. So let me show you. There's a little hole here that I'm going to insert the zucchini on one side. And then the other side, these are all grippers. So I'm going to insert the end of the zucchini onto that. And I want to keep it about as horizontal as possible when I do this. And this is just a little sliding mechanism that helps it go along. So, all right. There's a little handle here that will help me. But simply, you just turn the crank, and you can see I'm getting these ends now that are really long and skinny. Now this is fun just because the texture is a little bit different when you're cooking. And I think I'm going to put another slit in here just to make some shorter ones so you can see how that works. So you can see I put in slits that were close to one another, and I'm getting these small little noodles, as opposed to when I started and getting these nice long ones. So I'm just going to finish up here. You can do this with carrots. You can do this with sweet potatoes. It's a little bit more difficult because they are tougher, but a zucchini is nice and easy and quick. And I'm going to be using this evening in a recipe that I'm using with my program that I'm doing right now, which is Reset Your Diet. And this is a great ingredient to use for that because it, as I said, it is low carb, delicious, good for you, has lots of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants that we need. You'll get a little stub at the end. I pulled off, and a stem in the middle. You can cut the stem up and use it as a noodle if you'd like, or you can save it and add it to a stock pot if you're making stock. I'm just pulling off some of the loose ends here. So there you have it. Very easy. We've got our spiralized noodles right here. And then we have our straighter noodles that are right here. Now, I could cook this up real quick and show you what they look like when they're cooked. And you'll see it doesn't take very long to do. So I think what I'll do is cook up these thinner ones that I did by hand. They'll cook a little more quickly, and you'll get to see what they look like. I'm just waiting for my pan to heat up. I put a little oil in that, and I'm waiting for the oil to heat up now. But as I said, it's a wonderful substitute to do. It can be done flat like lasagna noodles, and you can do a layered lasagna tray with them. You can roll them and, you know, stuff things inside. So rolls a bit of vegetables inside and then roll it up. You can have them raw. You can have them cooked or sauteed, baked. It works. They're very, very versatile, which is great. All right, let's see. I'm going to try and see. I'm going to wait another minute for that to heat up. And if you like this way of cooking and you're looking for alternative ways, healthier ways to cook, I do have a lot of recipes on my website, so feel free to check that out over at www.eveyschweig.com. There's a recipes tab there with lots of recipes. I also do a monthly blog, and usually at the end of the blog, I'll add a new recipe. So you might want to check that out, looking for different ways to cook. It's dairy-free, grain-free, no added sugars. If I add sugars, it's usually just honey or maple syrup. All right, so let me add these in. And I'll do a quick stir fry. And then you'll get to see what it looks like. I just turned it down to a medium-low heat. And just giving them a little bit of time to soften. And as I said, you can add seasonings at this point. You could put in oregano, basil. If you're doing an Italian style, you could go with more of cumin and spice, that root. Any kind of seasonings that you're using that you might use with noodles, feel free to use. Again, too, pasta sauce over it is great. See how we're doing over here. All right. I'm just going to give it another minute, and we'll check it out. Let me bring it over so you can take a look. See how it's cooking up. So here's what we have going so far. They're still a little bit firm. I would like them a little bit more cooked. But they're turning a nice bright green, which adds nice color to your dish as well. And I think today we're just going to add a little bit of salt and pepper and maybe a little pat of butter, just to finish it off. All right. And here we have our finished dish. Let's see. Give it a little bit of garnish. Parsley is a great addition to this dish as well. Top it with a meat or your favorite sauce. And there you have it. So I hope you try some zucchini noodles on your own. You don't need any appliances. As you can see, you can do them right by hand as well. They cook up delicious, good for you, and a good substitute for pasta. So I hope you try the recipe. Please stay healthy, stay well, and I will see you next week with another recipe. Take care now. Bye-bye.